My 33-year-old male ex-wife and I got divorced 3 years ago. In college, we worked at the same restaurant. That's where we met. We were together for 7 years and married for a little over 3.5. We divorced because she cheated twice. 2 years into our marriage, I discovered she was having an affair with a former classmate. I collected enough evidence and confronted her. She confessed everything. The affair was about 2 months long. This was a really terrible time and was really hard to work through with her. You can call me an idiot, but I am a forgiving person. I do believe in second chances and that people can change. We agreed to reconcile. We did the work. We had marriage counseling. We read some of the books. She went no contact with the classmate right away. Open phone policy, we told our parents. She was doing the right things and our relationship was recovering. 1 year into our reconciliation, her aunt dies. I am very busy with work and cannot attend the services as they are on Thursday and Friday, back in her hometown 5 hours away. Her parents and brother no longer live there, so she stayed with a good friend from high school. I had met this friend a few times and was comfortable with that. On Saturday morning, my wife texted me that the car was loaded, and she was about to start making the drive home. About an hour after that, I got a Facebook message from the friend who stated she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she just let this go, but informed me that my wife had gone out Friday night with some old friends from high school. The friend thought nothing of this until she discovered my wife had left her phone behind and that she didn't come back until the following morning. I had gotten a text that Friday night from my wife that she was going to bed early since the past few days had been emotionally draining. I confronted my wife soon as she got home. She was really hesitant to tell me anything, so I lied to her and told her if we were going to work through this, I needed to know everything like the last time. That got her to confess that she had gone out and had gone home with an old friend from high school. She said they didn't have intimacy but did do stuff that I won't go into detail about here. It didn't matter. Once I got enough of the truth, I left for my parents' house. That week, my dad called my landlord and paid all the termination fees and got me out of the lease. We went and got my stuff while she was at work. My parents set me up with a friend of theirs who was a divorce attorney, and he cut me a deal. It took about 7 months for the divorce to go final. That was 3 years ago. I have an awesome girlfriend and am doing well. This past weekend, I got a Facebook message from a guy who is now engaged to my ex-wife. He introduced himself and said he was probably just being crazy, but he wanted to know why we had gotten divorced. He said he had broached the subject a few times, and she always gets weird. She had told him we had divorced because we grew apart, but mostly she just deflects or is really vague. I told him the truth and offered evidence if he would like. He declined and thanked me for my time and story. A day later, I get a phone call from a local but unknown number. I answer, and it's my ex-wife. She is really upset and asking me why I am trying to ruin her future. I get her to calm down and talk. She says her fiancé has asked for some space and is staying with his parents this week, that he is saying he needs to reevaluate their relationship. She wants to know why I told him all about their past and why I'm still punishing her. She tells me she's not that person anymore and has done all this work and been in therapy, that she deserves another chance and I'm being petty and hateful. There were a few generic insults thrown. I got a little pissed and told her if she really changed for the better, she would have been upfront with him about our past, and owned up to cheating in her prior marriage, and then gone about showing her fiancé that she was ready to be a worthy partner to him, unlike she was with me. Instead, she tried to lie and hide the truth, and now it's blowing up in her face again. She said a few choice words and hung up. I haven't heard anything since. I told my girlfriend, and she reassured me on how I handled it. But I find myself feeling guilty. I still believe in second chances and that people can change. While I would have felt wrong lying to the guy, I wonder if I should have handled the whole thing differently or just not responded. If she is truly different and this is just a blip, I don't want to be the thing that prevents her from finding happiness, but also believe I'm not what's hurting her engagement. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. She was already giving off enough red flags for this guy to reach out to you. This is all on her. Never be ashamed of being a forgiving person, though. The world could use a lot more of this. I believe that people not believing in forgiveness traps them into expecting none, and creates this sort of resonant feedback loop of unpleasantness that drags us all down as a society. Comment 2. The fiancé called you and asked you what happened. You are under no obligation to lie to him for her sake. As a matter of fact, anything that you told him besides the truth would be suspect, as you have no idea what she told him. Don't feel bad. She is only feeling the consequences of her actions, not the idiot. Kiss your wife, tell her you love her, and live a good life together. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post. It's been a tense couple of weeks since then, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. So, a few days after my ex-wife's fiancé contacted me, I got another message from him. He thanked me for being honest with him and said that he had a long talk with my ex about everything. Apparently, she finally came clean about her past and admitted to cheating on me. He said that they were going to try and work through it, but he needed some time to process everything. I thought that would be the end of it, but boy was I wrong. About a week later, I got a call from my ex's mom. She was in tears telling me that my ex had been in a car accident and was in the hospital. I was shocked and didn't know what to do. I told my girlfriend what happened, and she encouraged me to go see my ex, even if it was just to get some closure. When I got to the hospital, I found out that my ex had been driving drunk and had crashed her car into a tree. She was in pretty bad shape, but the doctors said she would recover. Her fiancé was there, looking absolutely devastated. We talked for a bit, and he told me that they had gotten into a huge fight the night before and she had stormed out of the house. He felt guilty, thinking that maybe if he had handled things differently, she wouldn't have gotten behind the wheel. I spent the next few days visiting my ex in the hospital, trying to be there for her as a friend. It was awkward at first, but we eventually started talking about our past and what had gone wrong in our marriage. She apologized for everything she had put me through and said that she had been working hard to be a better person. I could see the sincerity in her eyes, and I knew that she meant it. As my ex recovered, her fiancé and I started spending more time together. We bonded over our shared experience of being hurt by her, and I could see that he was a really good guy. He loved her deeply, and I knew that he would do everything he could to support her through this tough time. In the end, my ex and her fiancé decided to postpone their wedding. They both agreed that they needed more time to work on their relationship and rebuild the trust that had been broken. I was happy for them, knowing that they were taking the right steps to create a strong foundation for their future together. Looking back on everything that happened, I realized that I had played a small but important role in helping my ex and her fiancé find their way back to each other. It wasn't easy, and there were definitely moments where I questioned whether I was doing the right thing. But in the end, I knew that I had acted with integrity and compassion, and that was all that mattered. So, that's where things stand now. My ex is out of the hospital and doing well, and her fiancé is by her side every step of the way. As for me, I'm just grateful for the love and support of my amazing girlfriend and the lessons I've learned along the way. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this, everyone. It means a lot to have your support and understanding. Am I the idiot for giving my wife ultimatums about her ex's dependency on us? So let me start out by giving you all a little history of my wife, who is 39 years old, and myself, who is 38 years old. We were high school sweethearts, but ultimately I broke it off with her because our lives at that time were going in opposite directions. I was laser-focused on sports and higher education, and she wanted to party with friends. Fast forward about 20 years, and I am back in our hometown visiting my family, and I run into her working at the local Walmart. We exchange pleasantries and make a plan to meet for dinner to catch up. Well, everything goes well, and we talk well into the night. It feels like we've been friends forever, even though we haven't talked for about 15 years. So we decide to start dating, but we live 1,200 miles apart. So I would fly her down to my place about every other month for a week or so for a year and a half. Then we start talking about her moving here. Well, here's where things start to get complicated. She has a young son. Yes, the father does spend a little time here and there with his son, but very little. When his son goes over there, his father mostly just plays video games and his son watches. The father works very part-time under the table and pays for nothing for his son and pays no child support. So eventually, my girlfriend at that time moves in with me, and the father of their son agrees to let her bring their son. We have never kept his son from him. I have also flown the father here multiple times so he can spend time with his son. We sent his son to stay with him over the summer last year when school was out. Now, to the crux of it all. The father has recently moved to the town that we live in to be closer to his son, which I don't mind except for the fact that we live in an expensive area. The father finds a room to rent from someone and has found a job working about 20 hours a week. He refuses to buy a car and is constantly calling my wife for rides. When he wants to see their son, my wife has to drive him over to his house and then go pick him up later. Some days when he's off work, he magically ends up at our house, and we feed him and all of that. So it gets to the point where I feel like I am supporting this man because my wife is a stay-at-home wife. So I am 100% of the household's financial income. I have addressed this multiple times with my wife, and she just says, I know, but he's son's father, and I don't want son to miss out on having a father. Which I get, but I don't think I should be the one supporting him. So last night, I talked to my wife again about the situation, and I basically gave her 3 options. I told her she needs to talk to him and let him know that she's not going to be driving him around everywhere, and he's not going to be eating at our house 3 nights a week and hanging out at our house. I offered to talk to him, but she declined me talking to him. Then I told her that the second option is her getting a job so she could spend her money on him. This is when she started to get mad and said I was being financially controlling. So I responded by telling her that her third option would be a divorce. I never yelled or even got upset. I'm just to the point where I'm not going to be supporting the father because he utterly refuses to do anything with his life. I love my wife and stepson, but I just think that is asking too much. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I bet if you secretly added some hidden cameras to your house with both video and audio, you would not be giving her any options other than divorce. Sounds like her and her baby daddy found someone to fund their lives, and the baby daddy just has to sleep somewhere else, but gets all the benefits of your wife. Comment 2, you pay for your wife's lifestyle, you pay for her kid. You pay for her ex. When you bring up to her that it would be a good solution to either talk to her ex or find a part-time job so she can pay for him instead of you, she says you are financially controlling? Dude! Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last post and a lot has happened in the past 3 days. Let me fill you in. After giving my wife the 3 options, she chose to talk to her son's father herself. She called him over the next day, and they had a long conversation in our living room while I took our son out for some quality time together. When we got back, my wife told me that she had explained our situation to him and set some boundaries. She said he seemed to understand and agreed to start being more independent. However, the very next day, he called my wife asking for a ride to work. She reluctantly agreed, but when she got back, she was fuming. Apparently, he had spent the entire car ride complaining about how unfair we were being and how he couldn't afford to live on his own. My wife tried to reason with him, but he just wouldn't listen. That evening, my wife and I had a heart-to-heart talk. She opened up about her past with her son's father and how he had always been irresponsible and dependent on others. She admitted that she had been enabling his behavior for years out of guilt and a desire to keep the peace for their son's sake. However, she realized that it wasn't fair to me or our family to continue down this path. The next morning, my wife surprised me by announcing that she had decided to look for a part-time job. She said she wanted to contribute financially and gain some independence. I was thrilled and offered to help her with her job search. Later that day, my wife's son's father showed up at our house unannounced, demanding to see his son. My wife calmly explained that we had plans as a family and that he needed to call ahead and make arrangements in the future. He got angry and started yelling, but my wife stood her ground. She told him that if he couldn't respect our boundaries, then he wouldn't be welcome in our home. After he left, my wife broke down in tears. She confessed that standing up to him like that had been incredibly difficult for her, but she knew it was necessary. I held her and reassured her that she had done the right thing. Looking back, I realized that my wife has been through a lot in her past relationships. She has a tendency to put others' needs before her own and to avoid conflict at all costs. However, I'm proud of her for taking steps to break those patterns and prioritize our family's well-being. We still have a long way to go, but I feel like we're on the right track. My wife has already had a few job interviews, and we're working on setting healthy boundaries with her son's father. It hasn't been easy, but we're facing these challenges together as a team. Thanks for reading and for all your support. It means a lot to have a community to turn to during tough times like these. Am I the idiot for predicting our divorce over drinks because I'm fed up with our adult stepson living at home? Me, 43-year-old male, and my wife, 45-year-old female, were having some drinks outside the other day, and we were having a good time. She said, "I wish I brought my cigarettes," and I pulled them out of my pocket, as I had anticipated that she would want to smoke. She said, "Wow, how did you know?" I said, "I can see the future, especially when you're drinking," she said. "Can you see our relationship's future?" I said, "Of course," so she asked me, "Will we still be together or will we be divorced?" I said, "Probably divorced," and she asked, "When?" So I said, "I'll probably be tired of Peter's shoot in about 4 years and have to bounce. Peter is my wife's son from a previous marriage. He is 24 years old. My wife and I have been together for 21 years. I have raised this boy as my own, and he has called me dad since he was 5. We have a great relationship. We have never had the 'you're not my real dad' fight. We are good. However, I feel like my wife coddles him and he is failing to launch, so to speak. He is in uni, but has never had a job. His social circle consists of only 5 people that he is constantly online with. He very rarely leaves the house, or his room for that matter. My wife has to remind him to shower every day, and she has to wake him up every day. He will not wake up to an alarm, mainly because he is usually up until 6 or 7 a.m. playing online games. He's not a bad kid, he doesn't drink, smoke, or do drugs. He's not an incel, he doesn't listen to Andrew Tate. He's just kind of a nerdy shut-in. My wife is happy to have him live at home forever. I am not. I am very worried for him. He cannot drive and does not want to learn. He is comfortable in his life and sees no reason to grow. I stress the fact that he is an adult now to my wife many times, but he will always be her baby. Honestly, it's ending the life of me to watch her enable him. Every time I try to encourage him to get a part-time job or get out of the house, she tells me off and asks me to leave him alone. I feel like a failure as a parent, but she is happy he is staying out of trouble. He could do so much more, though. He is very bright. I will say to her, "What if we died tomorrow? What would happen to him? He would have to do a lot of growing up very quickly. Maybe we should push him a little bit now, but she won't hear it." Anyway, she lost her shoot on me. "How could you divorce me because of Peter? He will be fine. Everyone develops at different speeds, etc." I get it. I know. I think she also feels like we failed him by over-providing and she doesn't want to hear it, but guys, I can't sit around forever if this is the trajectory. I pray he snaps out of it, finishes uni, he's now a junior at year 4, he doesn't take a full course load, yes, we are paying everything, gets a job and grows up. But if not, I can't see myself supporting him and her forever. I feel like leaving might actually be good for the both of them. I contribute 80% to the household finances. She works part-time. Anyway, I don't really think it will come to that. I have faith in the kid. I was just 50-50 joking and serious with my 4-year timeline. 4 years is a long time, right? The fact that she was upset is upsetting to me. Does she think he'll be doing the exact same stuff 4 years from now? She thinks I'm a jerk because I'm giving an ultimatum and she doesn't care how long he stays at home. So, am I the jerk here? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You blindsided her with a serious topic in a joking manner that would have life-changing results for her. She is completely understandable to flip out about it when it sounds like there was no indication of a bad marriage up to this point. Yes, you were a jerk for that. You need to give her a little time to cool off and approach this gently but seriously. You guys need to have a real conversation about this, and not just slide in a jab like that. Otherwise, the timeline of your prediction about the end of the relationship may just get accelerated. Let's say 4 months instead of 4 years. Comment 2. So I got my first job when I was 22. I had some mental health issues, etc., but also my mother coddled me and my siblings. Whatever country you're in, it does get harder to acclimatize to working life as you get older. A lot of the patience people would have had with a 16-year-old at McDonald's, they don't have for a 20-something. Honestly, even show your wife this comment. Even volunteering, although I would recommend a higher time commitment if he's doing voluntary work. Get your kid doing something. She might think you're in butt, but it will help him long-term. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last post and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. First off, thanks for all the comments and advice on my previous post. So, a few days after my conversation with my wife about Peter, I decided to have a heart-to-heart with him. I told him that I loved him and wanted the best for him, but I was worried about his future. I explained that while his mom and I would always be there for him, it was important for him to start taking steps towards independence. To my surprise, he actually listened and seemed to take my words to heart. The next day, he came to me and asked if I could teach him how to drive. I was thrilled and immediately agreed. We've been practicing every day after I get home from work, and he's making great progress. It's been a great bonding experience for us, and I feel like we're closer than ever. However, things took a turn when my wife found out about our driving lessons. She accused me of going behind her back and trying to push Peter out of the house. We got into a huge argument, and she even threatened to leave me if I didn't back off. I tried to explain that I was just trying to help Peter, but she wouldn't listen. Later that night, I found my wife crying in our bedroom. She confessed that she was terrified of losing Peter and that she felt like she had failed him as a mother. She told me about how her own father had abandoned her when she was young and how she had always promised herself that she would never let the same thing happen to her own children. I held her as she cried and assured her that I wasn't trying to take Peter away from her, but that we needed to work together to help him become more independent. The next day, we sat down with Peter and had a long conversation about his future. We agreed that he would start looking for a part-time job and that we would continue with the driving lessons. My wife also agreed to start giving him more responsibilities around the house, like doing his own laundry and cooking his own meals. It hasn't been easy, but I feel like we're making progress. Peter has started applying for jobs and has even gone on a few interviews. He's also been spending more time out of the house, hanging out with friends and exploring new hobbies. As for my wife and I, we've been working on our communication and trying to be more understanding of each other's perspectives. We've realized that we both want what's best for Peter, even if we have different ideas about how to get there. Looking back, I realized that my joke about divorcing my wife in 4 years was insensitive and hurtful. I never meant to imply that I would actually leave her, but I can see how it came across that way. I've apologized to her and promised to be more mindful of my words in the future. In the end, I think this experience has brought our family closer together. We've had some tough conversations and faced some hard truths, but we've also learned to communicate better and support each other through the challenges. Thanks again for all your advice and support. It means a lot to know that there are people out there who understand what we're going through. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.